Our first presenter, I just realized we didn't actually say who was going to be presenting first. So, how about Nate Smith, since he's in my field of vision. Nate Smith goes way back in the field of disaster mapping, having worked at OFDA, the Office of U.S. Foreign Disaster Assistance at USAID for many years. Yes. And then, until recently, with the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Geospatial Management Office, is that correct?
Yes, it was. And for CISA and the National Risk Management Center.
I'll let you introduce yourself. So, Nate, thank you.
All right, 5 minutes, huh? I'm going to set my beer down. Wait, hold my beer. Watch this. Okay, so as he mentioned, I recently left a contractor supporting the government, and am now an independent doing whatever hits the windshield, right? So yesterday when my friend said, "Oh, Nate, I can't make this presentation. Can you cover for me?" I said, "Yeah." So you're not getting the deepest thoughts here, but I'll share what I can, and this is largely a challenge to you to use the power of the community in this room to try and make a resource for the community a little bit better. Okay, so we're talking. The GeoCONOPS is the Geospatial Concept of Operations. I'll describe it in further depth. Is anyone here familiar with the GeoCONOPS? Okay, a few people have seen it. Good. All right. Well, hopefully you'll all check it out when you go home. Google it. It's easy. Ironically, we'll use Google to get to it. Okay. Next slide. So here's who I am. This is the NASCAR resume. The formatting's a little goofy up there, but go back. Sorry. So this is sort of my life history, my working history, learning, working, supporting, teaching, and volunteering. If you see anything interesting there you want to talk to me about later, just come on up. Okay, next slide. All right, so the GeoCONOPS, what is it? It's a curated discovery portal for all sorts of geospatial activities going on for the Homeland Security enterprise. And the Homeland Security enterprise is everyone from that firefighter in the field up to the White House, the National Security Council, the President. It's the whole enchilada. So it answers who, what, where, when, why, and how of geospatial for Homeland Security. I got real clever here with the lowercase w is where you find it, and the bigger W is more like the Jack Dangermine science of where. So it's GIS, so it's where. Everything about where is in there. Or we're striving for that, or I was, so I'm not there anymore. So it's actively managed by a massive team of one person who's in this room that I won't point out, since I abandoned him 2 weeks ago. It's a community resource sharing validated resources for the benefit of all. You can think of it either as an on-ramp. A long time ago when I started at USAID, I landed there, I sat at my desk, I was a young kid, I'm like, all right, where's my community? Where's my website? Nothing existed. But now I've had the joy of helping make sure that nobody else feels that misery. So it's an on-ramp. If you're unfamiliar with it, you can get up to speed, or it's an elevator. If you're already involved but you want to raise your capability, you can go in there and see what's going on. Next slide. So I try and catch my breath from my sprint up to the front. Okay. So what isn't the GeoCONOPS? It's really not a concept of operations anymore. The concept of operations is sort of the script you use when you break glass for emergency and take the CONOPS out and follow through. It's really not aiming to be that as much anymore. It doesn't provide a very customizable user experience. So it's the same thing for everybody. You can't log in, you can't create your own cool little version of it or what have you. It doesn't really support the creation of GeoCONOPS in the different communities that use it. So it is that one-size-fits-all experience, which could be improved. It doesn't really. It provides knowledge and expertise in a format, or it doesn't really provide the format in sort of an agnostic way, right? It's a lot of details about what people are really doing. There's not a lot of pure sort of knowledge that you can digest, consume, and translate into your own work. And part of this is all my challenge, building up to my challenge to you, is that it doesn't really have a strong community pushing it forward. So it needs some steering winds. over here on the right, you can kind of see there is sort of a CONOPS-y part to it where it describes how it's used for mitigation in this case, but it doesn't go deep. Okay, next slide. All right, so I'm going to describe the TKBCOYLC, or Nate Smith's theory of knowledge-based community of interest organizational life cycles. That's on the left. You can read that. But I've been kicking around here for a long time, mostly in the internet. Well, it's getting to be pretty balanced on the international side of USAID and DHS. And I consider this like a knowledge-based community of interest. And I've seen many of these fail because the fuel to create them quickly gets consumed. It's like if you build a fire with wet logs and a bunch of paper, the paper burns, but the logs don't catch, right? Because there's not enough energy transfer to the logs to get them going. So this is a problem because you don't really sustain the knowledge of the community. You don't. The second generation of folks that come up, they don't have the same energy, and they don't get to benefit from the wisdom of the pioneers and the lessons learned from those who went before. So in sort of like ripping off the statement about justice, in emergency management, spatial understanding delayed is spatial understanding denied. So people who are doing GIS right now, maybe for the tornadoes, that don't have full advantage of really what we know, are really suffering unnecessarily, and we should take that as a challenge. Over here you'll see the process. It basically goes from chaos and latent demand through organization, through sort of people getting what they need and sort of going off in their own orbit, and then things fracturing again, and then it becoming sort of a cloud of latent demand again. So anyways, that's my deep thought of the day. Next slide, please. So the challenge to you is I encourage you all to go to the GeoCONOPS, Google it, find it, and bang on it a little bit. Find what you like, find what you don't like. And also within yourselves, consider, how am I've done some cool things. This kind of burdens me, actually. I've done some really cool things. People have sent me all over the world to do cool GIS stuff, and I'm like, well, now I got to share that with somebody. I can't just hold that information. I gotta tell somebody else. I gotta get it out there in the community. The cool lessons we learned from using GIS to spray desert locusts in Senegal. I mean, that's cool stuff. You want to get it out there. So how can you share that with others? And the GeoCONOPS really is your portal if you're in this space. And even if you're not in this space, it's kind of a good place to go and learn about GIS as well. I actually used the GeoCONOPS as a syllabus for one of my classes. It was kind of fun. It was a little premature. It's better now. So I would encourage you to go to the site, hit the big green button at the top, and submit some comments. Look at the site, see what challenge the team and the government really to make the site better, to see what they could do to make it serve the community better. So I would challenge you not necessarily look at it incrementally and say, well, you left a comma out of this paragraph. Go at it and say, you should have, you should have the ability to have the ability for an organization to log in and create their own GeoCONOPS from what's in there, or something fun like that. I don't want to bias you, okay? This is your choice. Dial in, submit what you like. But I really encourage you to do that because they don't get a lot of feedback, and we sort of go to these presentations with the same groups, and they hear the same message, and they're like, yeah, I know what the GeoCONOPS is, yeah, that thing, yeah, I remember when it was a book. Now it's a website. But it's got to remain alive, okay? Here's a link down here. I don't know if these slides get shared, but you're welcome to do so. Next slide, please. Thank you. Big green button. Push the big green button. Yell at them. Tell them some good stuff. Give them an attaboy, but also some challenge to move forward. So I don't know how long that was, but
that was good enough. Yeah. Thank you.
It was fast.
Are you hanging around for a little while?
Hang around if you'll have me.
All right. If you have any questions,
all right,
look for this guy.
Yeah.
All right.